Hey Sainers, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Now that the dust has settled, the big announcements have been done. Ross Lyon on Monday, Robert Harvey on Tuesday. Waiting for Fraser Gehrig as forward line coach on the Wednesday, but I don't think that's going to happen. I thought it'd be a good opportunity to talk about, we've talked about Ross and what it would be like with him as coach again, but now that that's announced, what is it going to be like with him as coach? And I thought, let's narrow it down to kind of the 5 key things that Ross Lyon will improve as senior coach from 2023 onwards. So I've put it out to the Saints TV audience on Twitter, on Instagram. I've got a lot of responses there, so thank you everyone for responding. I will give my top 5, and then we'll go through what you guys think. So I've kept it pretty basic, very basic sort of premise. Top 5 things that Ross Lyon will improve as St Kilda coach from 2023 onwards. So, number 1, for me, press conferences. Straight off the bat, he's renowned for his quotes, for his mannerisms, for the way that he goes about it in his presses. He's very honest, he's very blunt, and he loves to stir the pot with the media, which I think is great because he's from the media side as well. He's had his time in the media limelight, so he understands how they go about it. And even in the lead up to his announcement, the way that Tom Brown was interviewing him and the way that he interacted with Tom Brown was really funny, really lighthearted, and it just makes him kind of relatable. I do love his quotes as well, and so I've got a couple of top ones here. This is from the AFL website. I don't know how recent this one is, but obviously, You're Quite Brilliant, Shane is up there, and that's it's on t-shirts now, so it's on the Saints TV store if you really want to buy it. I don't think anyone's going to buy it, but if you want to, it's on there. I'll let the cobblers do the cobbling. That's a famous one. And there's some more generic ones like we support the person and challenge the behavior. Anyone, anywhere, anytime is another one, and he used that a lot back in his day at the Saints in 09 and 10. It's an opinion business. It's a moot point. Action builds confidence. There's no magic here. It's all about unrelenting action. It's never as good, never as bad as it seems. There's no witch hunt here. I don't have the luxury. There's no silver bullet here. I don't flush anything down the toilet. So he says stuff that makes sense, but it's the way he reframes it. Like, I think there's another one where it says, you can't just roll along and all have a milkshake and pretend everything is hunky-dory when you're not giving us output. Like, stuff like that. It's just, he just makes it lighthearted, but his points are really firm, which I really love. He also said, I think he said this yesterday when he was announced, we all dream anything's possible, but if you don't do the work, you're just a daydreamer. That's a great one as well. So press conferences, number 1 on the list for me. I think that's going to be amazing. Win, lose or draw. I can't wait to see if we decide to do the members videos after a game like Rats used to do, where it's the exclusive one-on-one with the coach post-game, especially after a loss. I think that's going to be interesting viewing. Whether he wants to do that at all or not is going to be interesting as well. So number 1, press conferences. Number 2, mentality. I think this is a pretty common one everyone will agree with. He's ruthless. He wants to win. I think that this isn't just saying, this is an improvement on Rats. This is an improvement on the last 8 or 9 years since Ross was coach, from back in 2011 when he left. So we've been down in these areas for a long time. I think that Ross already brings this sort of, switched on approach that, you can't sweep anything under the rug with Ross. You either you die by your sword or you win by your sword. So I think mentality is a big one for us. We don't know. We've always been in no man's land. We almost don't know what's the goal here. And the mentality is a big part of that. Like, if you're striving for greatness and to win a flag, your mentality is win, 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 win. Train hard. I'm going to do my best. But if you don't know that's, if that's not pushed into you, yes, we're playing for a flag, your mentality is cruisy. You're in cruise control. You're just going by each game as it comes, and that's it. And I think that Ross is going to really hammer into the boys that we're here to be a serious football club. Whether that means we're going to win a flag anytime soon is another thing, but that's the end goal. But the process, the journey along the way is what Ross can really step up in. And I think that already the way he kind of described his approach in his press conference on Monday, I think already that changes the entire mentality of not just the playing group, but also the club as a whole and what we stand for. So number 2, mentality. Number 3, and this has already happened, even with just murmurs, just rumours of getting Ross back. Number 3, relevancy. You know, that's a key thing that Jeff Walsh mentioned a couple of weeks ago, the new head of football. And the big reason, well, you know, a big reason as to why Ross is now our senior coach. Jeff Walsh said, we're irrelevant. You know, no one really cares about us. But no one has an opinion on St Kilda because we're not a threat. You know, we don't piss people off because we're good. Now, Ross Lyon has completely changed that. He's been trending on Twitter. The club's been trending on Twitter. We've now got Robert Harvey back with rumours of other people coming in. Ross Lyon has given us a profile again. He's got a big profile on his own, but him plus St Kilda is an interesting combination. I think for a lot of opponents, you know, a lot of opposition supporters, they're talking shit about us getting Ross back, but that's almost like they're a bit worried that maybe he could turn us around. Maybe we could then be a competent football team, because for so long, opposition supporters are happy to let us just run into the wall, you know, just let us make our own stuff-ups and implode, you know, whereas now Ross is here with a plan, here to fix it, and that is bad news for the competition, because who knows what he could do with this list. We've seen what he did with Fremantle's list at the time. They made a grand final, and you could see what he did with us, obviously, in 09-10. Different playing group, obviously, we know that, but it's about the foundations that he can set, and I think that makes us a threat in our own right that way, straight off the bat. And we're in the news every day, you know, and we will be throughout the season. You can just tell that Ross Lyon press conferences are going to be a thing to look out for. And St Kilda football, whether we go a defensive style or an attacking style, that's going to be a big topic of discussion as well. So we're back and we're relevant, and that's all thanks to, you know, getting Ross Lyon on board. That's the first step, and then obviously to stay relevant for good reason is to perform on the track as well. So hopefully that happens. Number 4, selection integrity. As I mentioned before, nothing is going to get swept under the rug with Ross Lyon. If you play hard, you train hard, and you have the right mentality, you tick all those boxes that Ross likes, you play. If you don't, you know that he's going to drop you. You will be playing at Sandy. I will not be surprised to see Sandy next year doing very well in the VFL, because there will be more AFL standard players at that level because they are not meeting the standards of Ross Lyon. They may be good AFL players in their own right, but if they're not doing the key fundamentals that Ross wants, you ain't playing, mate. He's dropped Del Sano and Milne before. He's not going to be afraid to drop someone like a Dan Butler or a Brad Crouch or any of these big names. He will do it if it benefits the team and it sets an example. He's not going to be the sort of guy that gives a player 4 or 5 chances to get back to their level. He's going to give you 1. If you're lucky, you get 2. And then if not, you're back to the VFL, mate, and someone comes up and takes your spot. So I think selection integrity is great. Battle for spots is going to be another one. I think he's going to create that sort of battle within the club, because too many players, I think, have been too comfortable in their current positions, whether they've been playing well or not, and they've been cruising. So that it's a mix of mentality, but also selection integrity. I think you know that week by week, Ross is going to pick the best team that gives us the best chance of winning. And number 5, lucky last. There's so many that could get into this top 5, but these are kind of my 5. Number 5, I think, is strategy. We cannot underestimate the knowledge that Ross Lyon has. He is a very smart football man. He understands the game. Just listening to him in his presser and the way he understands that since, you know, 09, 10 and 11 when he was a coach at St Kilda, and it was a bit more of a defensive style, which it wasn't really, because we still kicked a lot of goals in 09 and 10, top 4 for both attack and defense in those years. He knows that the game's changed. You know, the way he talked about the man on the mark rule, or he's already identified that St Kilda, we're runners. You know, we can run. That's what he said. You know, I know what they can do. They can run. So we're going to have a game plan that's around that. He's already identified a strength, not our weaknesses. That's what I love about Ross. His strategy is to identify your strengths. That's why he was so good at getting the best out of your bottom 10 on a list. Your Zach Dawsons, your McQualters, your Robert Eddies, your Clint Jones. He turned him into one of the best taggers in the comp. What can he do with Winhager, you know? He identified their strengths and enhanced them. He didn't tell them what they couldn't do. He told them what they could do, and they focused on that. They played within their zone and did that better than anyone else in their team. So I think in terms of strategy, he's going to be very good on game day. The 2010 grand final, the draw, we were getting outdone in the first half. The game should have been over. Halftime comes, he puts Sam Gilbert forward, he changes a couple of other components, we get back into the game, we draw the game. Oh wait, round 16 or 17 against Hawthorn, we're 5 goals down. He obviously gives Riewoldt a big spray. That was one of his famous sprays, where he said that Riewoldt had 0 or 1 tackles for the year. I remember him talking about that on Triple M. But then he also changed that game, and we won by about 6 goals. We kicked about 9 goals. He put Jason Blake in the ruck. He kicked 4 or 3. 3 in the third term, I remember. It was an onslaught from that point on. We went nuts. He knows how to change a game when it looks lost. And I think, for the last couple of years with Rats, we've always been a bit conscious that, has he only got into plan A, and if that doesn't work, what do we do? I think for Ross, it's going to be very fluid. Depending on how the game goes, he'll be willing to adapt. We're not going to just stick to our guns and be, very one-eyed in our approach. We're going to have an open mind about it, and I think that Ross is too smart not to consider all the options of how to go about a game. I'm really comfortable that with him, as well as you look at who he's employed. He's got Lenny Hayes, he's got Robert Harvey, he's got Rath in there. I think we might be getting maybe a couple more people in, hopefully. Who knows? But he's got a really good group of knowledgeable coaches around him, as well as himself. So strategy, it comes with Ross because he's a very smart football man, but you've got to take into account the people around him and the coaches that he's got beside him in the coach's box, and I think that brings a lot of experience, and I definitely think that in terms of strategy on game day, during the game, is going to be a big improvement. And obviously the strategy of the football club, that's a big reason why Bassett and Left Lean want someone like Ross, is that he's not just going to set the tone on game day, in terms of win-loss, but he's also going to set a foundation for the club moving forward, the best foundation for us to have sustained success. So I think he ticks that box. And yeah, that's kind of my top 5. So just to round it up, number 1, press conferences, goes without saying. Number 2, mentality. Number 3, relevancy. Number 4, selection integrity. And number 5, strategy. So those are mine. Let me know if you agree with them or not. Obviously, it's kind of just an opinion. So if you've got different top 5, please let me know. Let's go through some of the top 5s that people have commented online. Let's go. These are just individual ones, so they haven't listed top 5, but these are other suggestions. Culture, standards, game plan, effort, structure, a lot of standards, a lot of effort, press conferences, effort at the ball, attitude, effort. So that's a very key trend, is the mentality, the effort, the culture, work ethic, resilience as a team on the field through the trust, winning the flag, consistency, accountability is a good one, style of play, leadership, ball movement, players being held accountable, standards, culture, accountability, defense, even though I think our defense was pretty good this year. Intensity, culture, again, so it's a very, very common one there. We'll quickly jump onto Twitter and we'll see what people think on Twitter. I no doubt think that it'll be fairly similar. Discipline, install hard work ethic, self-belief in the players, tactics, membership numbers is a good one. This one didn't consider that, but membership numbers will be interesting next year. 4-quarter effort, Sandy Zeb's full of AFL players not giving 4-quarter effort. The Moorabbin vibe, the B and C graders improving into A and B graders. Morale, team environment, hardworking, accountability, standards, discipline, team first, ethos, communication. Communication's a very good one. He's a very sharp shooter. He doesn't fluff around. Intensity, integrity, footy department framework, and training standards and punctuality. So that's a really good one, Saners. I think, if you have a different top 5 to what I named or what I just mentioned, please put them in the comments. It's just a bit of an opinion piece, this video. But I'm really excited to see what Ross can do. Obviously those are 5 things I've listed, but outside of that, there are many other factors that I think he can have a big improvement on for the footy club. So if you've got any suggestions on your top 5 that Ross Lyon will improve moving forward as St Kilda coach, put them in the comments and let me know and we'll create a discussion. So I'll leave it there, Saners. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please like it, comment your thoughts as I mentioned, and most importantly, hit subscribe. We're climbing pretty fast now, so if you want to get notified on all future videos, please make sure you subscribe, and that will fix that problem for you. And I'll be back for some more videos during the week. But until then, take care, Saners, and as always, go you mighty Saners. See you guys.